পশ্চিমবঙ্গের সকল মানুষকে আমার শুভেচ্ছা। पश्चिम बंगाल के सभी लोगों को मेरी शुभेच्छा और शुभकामनाएं।
বেচারা ভ্যানিশ কুমার, তার জন্য আমার খারাপ লাগে। ভ্যানিশ কথাটা আমরা ইউজ করি কারণ কালো লোকেদের ওয়াশিং মেশিনে ভ্যানিশ করে দিয়ে হোয়াইট করে দেওয়া হয়, স্ট্রং ভ্যানিশিং পাউডার।
Hello everyone. Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar, yes, Gyanesh Kumar of Election Commission of India was in Kolkata for 2 days. A happy stay, everything went smooth, and eventually he held a press conference today, that is Tuesday. I was there at the press conference of Mr. Gyanesh Kumar in Kolkata that happened at a hotel where he was putting up. The same hotel where most of the top BJP leaders often stay, put up, and eventually hold press conferences. Not drawing parallels, just stating facts. And I must say, the entire exercise of holding this press conference felt like pink candy floss. Large, colorful, impressive to look at. But when you actually try to consume it, there is almost nothing. There is almost nothing there to satisfy you, to quench your hunger. It's a complete bluff. Because what we saw was not really a press conference in the traditional sense. It was closer to a performance with a lot of presentations. A carefully managed interaction where questions were taken in groups and then answered in long, looping responses that addressed very little of what was actually asked. You must be wondering, what's grouping of questions? What is that? Hear this.
Before you ask your question, kindly introduce yourself and your organization. I would request you to restrict yourself to one question at a time. We will be taking questions in groups of 5, and most of the questions we will be taking, don't worry about that. Please ask your questions patiently. After one set of questions, then we will go to the next round.
So that was Election Commission of India's officer handling media. Basically, he was doing the MC work. Let me say this clearly. The art of grouping questions together can often become a big fraud. Taking questions in groups and responding with a single generic answer often functions as a diversionary tactic. It allows the speaker to avoid addressing specifics of any question or specific an issue, while creating this impression that all the concerns have been well answered and well addressed.
I'll take this round and then I'll take 5 more.
Several journalists asked several questions, including myself, but Mr. Gyanesh Kumar responded at length but selectively.
Hi sir, this is Sriyoshi from NDTV. I have a question for you. The Honorable Supreme Court observed that there's a trust deficit between the state government and the ECI. My question to you is, what prompted the ECI to introduce logical discrepancies in the state of West Bengal? Has it been implemented anywhere else during this phase 2 of the Election Commission's exercise? And the second, as he repeated, if you could tell us whether elections can be held without all the cases being disposed of, which is under the logical discrepancy cases and are being looked into by the judiciary.
This is Mayuri Shom from BBC News India. So there's been a widespread sense of helplessness and confusion among voters from the beginning of SIR, and especially in certain communities that feel unfairly affected by logical discrepancies. Would you say that the process of SIR in Bengal could have been conducted in a better or in a more organized or transparent way?
Sir, this side, Tamal Shaha from News the Truth entity. Sir, your first press conference announcing SIR specifically mentioned that if your name is there in 2002 list, then you further do not need to submit any further documents. But then there are people who are already mapped as per your 2002 data, standing in the queue and submitting documents. Would you see that as a harassment if that happens at a personal level? Number one. Number two, does the Election Commission acknowledge deaths due to SIR? Countrywide, there are reports of more than 50 BLOs who have died. Does the Election Commission recognize deaths due to SIR?
Often repeating the same lines, the Commission wanted to highlight.
The special intensive revision all over India is being carried out as per the Constitution Representation of People Act 1950 and instructions issued by the Election Commission of India, as well as orders of the Honorable Supreme Court from time to time. It is absolutely fair. It is being done by ground level, booth level officers of the concerned state governments, the assistant electoral officers of the concerned state governments, the electoral registration officers of the concerned state government, the district collectors of all the state governments who are deemed to be on deputation to the Election Commission of India during that period. With regards to names under adjudication, the process is being progressed as per the directions of Honorable Supreme Court, and wherever logical discrepancies or unmapped cases were there, the booth level officers, the assistant electoral registration officers, the electoral registration officers met the electors, conducted the hearing and corrected those mistakes wherever correct documents were given.
And there was something else too that was noticeable. Every time a familiar face from what many would call the pliable media, yes, you guessed it right. Yes, you guessed it right. They always have the hashtag always number one, and you always call them only one name, hashtag media. So when people from such pliable media asked a question, yes, especially ones that gave him the opportunity to criticize the Bengal government, there was a bonus smile on the face of Mr. Gyanesh Kumar, exactly like this.
सर अनुपम पात्रा रिपब्लिक बांग्ला से। सर संडे रात आप जब आए हैं एयरपोर्ट में, तब से लेके आज तक काफ़ी जगहों पे आपको प्लेकार्ड दिखाया गया, गो बैक स्लोगन कहा गया। आप चीफ इलेक्टोरल ऑफिसर है, आप सबके ऊपर है। अगर आपका अगर ये स्थिति हो बंगाल में, तो आप क्या सोच रहे हैं बंगाल में कैसे ये वोट हो सकता है और पीसफुल वोट कैसे हो सकता है?
For example, sir, what's your take on law and order in Bengal? For example, sir, you have been touring all across. Do you think elections can happen peacefully in Bengal? Sir, people have shown you black flags. If you could be shown black flags, how safe are people in Bengal? And every time these serious questions were asked, they were received by Mr. Gyanesh Kumar with a smile. The result, a conversation that kept moving in circles. Plenty of presentation, very few answers. Okay, talking of presentations, the Election Commission of India showed a few slides. One read that no eligible voter will be excluded. That's very, very assuring. Very good. That's how it should be. No genuine voter should be excluded. But there are more than 60 lakh names in Bengal alone yet to be adjudicated. Matter sub judice. What happens to them if elections are announced tomorrow? No clear answer. Also notice this. The Election Commission had given out a data. These were number of voters. They have now come down to this as the final list has been published, and without the number of voters who are yet to be adjudicated, the final number can be 6.44 crore. That's a huge difference. So someday the Election Commission is convinced that they can go ahead with the elections without the matters being adjudicated, which means people who are hanging in imbalance, whose fate are yet to be decided, without their fate getting decided, election tomorrow can be announced, and Election Commission is absolutely fine conducting elections without them. Doesn't really matter if they're eligible and valid voters. Thus the first slide which they had shown was nothing but a pure presentation.
भारत के 12 राज्यों में और पहले बिहार में लगभग 60 करोड़ मतदाताओं के रिवीजन की प्रक्रिया लगभग पूर्ण हो चुकी है। स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन, जिसका एकमात्र उद्देश्य था प्योर इलेक्टोरल रोल्स आर बेडरॉक ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी। कोई भी पात्र मतदाता छूटे ना, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ कोई भी इनएलिजिबल व्यक्ति मतदाता सूची में आ न पाए। नो एलिजिबल पर्सन शुड बी इंक्लूडेड। अभी हाल में ही जो 28 फरवरी को वेस्ट बंगाल की फाइनल इलेक्टोरल रोल निकली है, उसमें कुल मिलाकर 7 करोड़ 8 लाख नाम हैं और जिसमें कि अंडर एडजुडिकेशन वाले अगर हटाए जाते हैं तो 6 करोड़ 44 लाख 52 लाख 609 मतदाताओं की सूची उस नाम में पात्र मतदाताओं के रूप में है।
The questions that remained unanswered. Because the truth is, the public is asking very basic questions. And those questions deserved clear answers. For example, that elderly man holding a stick in his hand, walking inside a hearing center with no clarity in mind as what additional document can he produce to prove that he is a citizen of this country even though he is older than India itself.
পায়েরও প্রবলেম আছে, কোমরের প্রবলেম, টোটো করে আসা চারটিখানি ব্যাপার না, ওনার পক্ষে যথেষ্ট কষ্ট সহিষ্ণু ব্যাপার।
What fault is of that woman who is holding literally an inhaler in her hand and struggling to reach to a hearing center, that too on the first floor of a building?
ব্রেন স্ট্রোক হয়েছে, ডান দিকটা মাথায় জল জমেছে, কথা বলতে পারি না, শ্বাসকষ্ট হয়েছে।
People have been suffering with logical discrepancies. People have been questioned bizarre questions. How come your surname has changed? How come your father's name is this and your husband's name is there on the Aadhaar card? People have been questioned as how you 6 siblings have one father.
আমরা 5 ভাই বোন দিয়ে দিয়েছে 6 ভাই বোন।
5 ভাই বোন দিয়ে দিয়েছে 6 ভাই বোন। আচ্ছা, তাতে আপনার কি দোষ?
সেটাই তো সমস্যা, আমার কি দোষ?
Bizarre questions. People who have been mapped are yet made to stand in the queues with documents. And every time they have gone and joined a queue with documents in hand, they have wasted an entire day. They have wasted their money after photocopying and they have gone back home again without clear answers. Who were they? Women? Hindus? Muslims? Indian citizens? Every time people have been questioned, go get your father's Aadhaar card. If the father has died in the year 1970, 77, how will they get Aadhaar card? When people have been told, go get your birth certificate when the person is born in 1950, where from will the person get a birth certificate? When those Motua community people have been told, give us additional document to prove your citizenship, they're wondering. We have left behind all the hostilities in Bangladesh. Our houses were burning. They were all behind us. And we came to India, sought refuge here, hoping in this Hindu Rashtra, as they call it, we will be safe. And today, they need to stand in queues after queues, to prove their nationality so that they are finally eligible to cast a vote that would eventually elect a leader. No questions answered. So here's a couple of questions that several journalists asked and deserved an answer, but Mr. Gyanesh Kumar chose not to. Question number 1. Why are voters who were already mapped in earlier electoral rolls, many of them based on records going back to 2002, suddenly been asked to stand in queues again and submit documents? If they are already verified citizens, what exactly has changed? And it was the Election Commission, the same Chief Election Commissioner, who during the first press conference while announcing the second phase of SIR had said that if your name is there in 2002 database, if your mother, your father, your grandfather, your uncle, any of your family members had been there in the 2002 voter list, then you are mapped. You need not submit any additional document with your enumeration form. But they are the same people consuming 80% of cases which are under dispute and adjudication.
Sir, this side, Tamal Shah from News the Truth entity. Sir, your first press conference announcing SIR specifically mentioned that if your name is there in 2002 list, then you further do not need to submit any further documents. But then there are people who are already mapped as per your 2002 data, standing in the queue and submitting documents. Would you see that as a harassment if that happens at a personal level?
Question number 2. Why were logical discrepancies introduced later in the verification process? Changes that now place an additional burden on ordinary voters, many of whom were already mapped in the system. What happens to those people whose names are currently under adjudication? Will the Election Commission wait for all these pending cases to be resolved before announcing elections?
Sir, this is question is when will this voter list will be the finalized, or if it is not finalized, is there any option to proceed with voting? If this list remains incomplete, is there any possibility of voting through a tendered vote?
Or can they really announce election tomorrow and they're okay to go ahead with the election without those people? And if elections are announced while these cases are still pending, will those people be allowed to vote?
6 million cases are under adjudication. Will the elections be held only after all the cases are disposed of, or election can be held?
Does the Election Commission acknowledge the reports of deaths linked to stress surrounding the SIR process?
Does the Election Commission acknowledge deaths due to SIR? Countrywide, there are reports of more than 50 BLOs who have died. Does the Election Commission recognize deaths due to SIR?
Forget the ordinary citizens who have died. Reports suggest that more than 50 booth-level officers across India, just not in Bengal, across India, have died during this exercise in several cases, either through notes or videos they had left behind or through statements of their bereaved families. The blame has squarely gone to the doors of the Election Commission of India. People in folded hands, they had said, we can't handle this pressure anymore. Somebody has left a note saying that I love my family. I love my family too much, but I cannot handle this pressure. Someone has said that I cannot process the entire idea of handling softwares, applications on mobile phones. I cannot upload a picture on the Election Commission's website. I'm digitally impaired. And if I cannot function, if people suffer, will they come after me and my family? Will I be reprimanded? Will my family be admonished by the locals? That fear became overwhelming for these people who eventually decided to end the chapter.
মানে উনি পুরোপুরি নোট 2 পৃষ্ঠা লিখে গেছে যে এই চাপ উনি সহ্য করতে না পেরে উনি আজকে এই মানে সুসাইড করার মতন একটা মন মানসিকতা ওনার তৈরি হয়ে সুসাইড করলেন। উনি মাঝে মধ্যেই বলতো এই চাপ নিতে পারছি না, আমার না স্ট্রোক হয়ে যায়, কিন্তু এই চাপ সহ্য করতে না পেরে উনি সুসাইড করলেন। অনলাইনে সেরকম পারদর্শী না, ওনার মোটামুটি উনি ইয়েতে লিখে গেছে নোটে যে ওনার 90% অন্য সব কাজ কমপ্লিট বিএলএর, কিন্তু ওই যে অনলাইনে যে কাজটা উনি সেটা পারছিলেন না। তো ওই চাপটা পারছি না, আমাকে এই বয়সে এসে জেল খাটতে হবে, নানান কথাবার্তা শুনতে হবে, ওই জন্য ওই চাপটা না নিতে পেরে উনি সুসাইড করার মতন একটা মন মানসিকতা সুসাইড করলেন।
Does the Election Commission actually acknowledge deaths that have happened due to SIR? No, there is no answer. At a time when the opposition is talking about moving an impeachment motion, a first of its kind, against the Chief Election Commissioner, that is Gyanesh Kumar.
हम भी चाहते हैं उसका इम्पीचमेंट हो, नंबर हमारा नहीं है, लेकिन इम्पीचमेंट भी हो सकता है ना, परमिशन तो है, रिकॉर्ड तो हो जाएगा। अगर ऐसा कुछ वो करते हैं तो हम भी हमारा पार्टी को एमपीज को कॉन्फिडेंस में लेके डिस्कस करके, हम लोग तो जब कोई पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट में होता है हम सब इकट्ठा होकर ही काम करते हैं, उसमें हमारा कोई एतराज नहीं है।
And when the Supreme Court itself has flagged concerns about institutional trust, how exactly does the Commission plan to bridge the growing trust deficit? People have started wondering who to believe. Should they believe the Election Commission of India or the state government that is questioning the Election Commission of India? Should they believe the state government or the Election Commission of India that is saying that all the impediments have been created externally? Who to believe? The political noise is so much and people have nowhere to go seeking redressal. People can only find redressal by asking questions, and this press conference was that opportunity where people's questions would have reflected in our voices. Our voices were there, but the questions were drowned. Instead, the press conference spent time on chest thumping assurances like we will allow no violence, we will not allow any violence.
आगे आने वाले चुनावों में The Election Commission will ensure an Election Commission has zero tolerance towards violence by any political person, any person against any of the elector or election staff.
Literally chest thumping, exactly how he sounded when he called himself a Chattan in the first press conference.
आज चुनाव आयोग सबको स्पष्ट करना चाहता है कि चुनाव आयोग निडरता के साथ सभी गरीब, अमीर, बुजुर्ग, महिला, युवा सहित सभी वर्गों और सभी धर्मों के मतदाताओं के साथ बिना किसी भेदभाव के चट्टान की तरह खड़ा था, खड़ा है और खड़ा रहेगा.
Another question that begged an answer. What is the Commission's message to communities who say they now feel vulnerable because of this exercise? The question did not specifically mention minority community, Muslim community, but then there are people, for example, the Matuas, the Hindu immigrants who have come from Bangladesh. They are minorities. What about them? What about Hindu, marginalized Hindus who have come from Bangladesh? What about them? What about Jains who are minorities and yet standing in the SIR queue? What about them? So what about communities who say they feel vulnerable because of this exercise, because they do not have documents like a birth certificate to prove their nationality, that they belong to India? And then there was one very direct question. Guess which one? That question was asked not once or twice but 3 times. How many Rohingyas or Bangladeshi infiltrators have been actually identified through this SIR exercise? 3 times the question was asked, and 3 times it was avoided by one man, that is Mr. Gyanesh Kumar.
Sir, this is Ravi Shankar from TV9 Bharatvarsh. My question is, BJP has been continuously alleged that there has been Rohingyas and Bangladeshis. So in this SIR process, how many Bangladeshis or Rohingyas does the Election Commission have found till now, leaving that 60 lakhs, those who are under the adjudication process?
Sir, good afternoon. This is Ridita Chatterjee from Times Now. So my question to you is this entire process was conducted to find out dead voters and foreign voters, out of which we already have a number about the dead voters, but if you could give us a brief about the foreign voters or Rohingyas specifically, what is the statistics on it?
BJP went to town saying that through SIR, all the infiltrators would be flushed out. The Election Commission, Chief Election Commissioner, said that in this country's election, only country citizens would be participating, almost endorsing the idea that there are infiltrators in this country and they will be flushed out through this SIR exercise. And this question had come before the Election Commission of India so many times. After Bihar SIR, after just a couple of days back, the same question was asked to the CEO of West Bengal and today to Gyanesh Kumar. And none of the times have chosen to answer it. Another journalist asked, Mamata Banerjee wrote to you 6 letters. You have not responded even once.
Sir, this is Joy Chakraborty from Bangla Jago television channel. Sir, Mukhyamantri, Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee ने आपको 6 चिट्ठियां दिए हैं और आपको रिक्वेस्ट किए हैं कि ये जो SIR इतनी जल्दी क्या है, आप टाइम लेकर भी कर सकते हैं. और दूसरा जो सवाल है आपके पास, वेस्ट बंगाल में सिर्फ आप माइक्रो ऑब्जर्वर दिए हैं, क्यों?
Every opposition party calling it a murder of democracy, be it Samajwadi Party, be it Trinamool Congress, be it Congress openly calling out vote chori, blaming Election Commission of India for facilitating this vote chori by BJP, that's Congress's allegation. Questioning why was there so much of rush to do SIR now? Why didn't they do SIR before 2024 Lok Sabha elections? Why didn't they do it before 2022 Uttar Pradesh elections? Explain as how 2.5 crore voters, more than that, have been deleted from the draft list of Uttar Pradesh, not Bengal. BJP had been shouting that all the Rohingyas and infiltrators are here in Bengal. Please explain as how come more than 2.5 crore people have been deleted from the draft list of Uttar Pradesh. Who are these people? Are they ghost voters? genuine voters? If genuine, how come they have been deleted from the draft list? And if they are not genuine, were they present in the 2022 Uttar Pradesh Assembly election? If yes, did they cast vote? If yes, who did they cast vote for? There was another moment worth noting. At one point, the Chief Election Commissioner spoke about the rule of law in the context of elections in Bengal. Now, on the surface, that sounds perfectly fine. But in Bengal's recent political history, those words carry a very specific memory. Rule of law and not law of rulers were the opening words of the NHRC, that is National Human Rights Commission's report on the 2021 post-poll violence, a report that was ideally meant to be submitted before the Calcutta High Court in a sealed cover. But somehow, the entire report was selectively leaked to media. Too many observers had raised questions that episode had raised serious questions about institutional neutrality. So when those exact words appear again in a highly charged political environment, people naturally notice, because language in politics and institutions is rarely accidental.
चुनाव आयोग से संबंधित सभी कर्मचारियों को, डीएम्स को, एसपीज को, डीआईजीज, आईजीज, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एनफोर्सिंग एजेंसीज, लगभग 24 जो और इन्फोर्समेंट एजेंसीज होती हैं, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, चीफ सेक्रेटरी, डीजीपी और सभी सचिवों को ये सख्त निर्देश दिए गए हैं कि एनफोर्स rule of law strictly, without fear or favor.
And then comes the Supreme Court's intervention. The matter had been going on before the Supreme Court's bench led by Chief Justice of India. Today, the matter was heard again. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court directed that appellate tribunals comprising former High Court Chief Justices and former High Court judges be constituted to hear appeals against exclusions in the West Bengal Special Intensive Revision process. Why? Because there are serious concerns about the absence of an independent appellate mechanism. Think about that. Think about that for a moment. The Supreme Court could simply have said, okay beta, go before the Election Commission of India. Send these matters back to Election Commission for disposal. But instead, the court ordered the creation of independent appellate tribunals. Earlier as well, judicial officers from Bengal and neighboring states like Orissa and Jharkhand were deployed to adjudicate SIR claims because of the ongoing blame game between the state government and the Election Commission of India. That decision by the Supreme Court raises an uncomfortable question. What level of institutional trust does the Election Commission currently enjoy? And again, on this point, too, the press conference offered no real response. And there were silences too. Perhaps the loudest part of the press conference was what was not said. There was no clear assurance that the Commission will take strict action against hate speeches during elections, no strong words against inflammatory campaign rhetoric, and perhaps that silence is not surprising because during the run-up to 2024 Lok Sabha elections, India's Prime Minister himself had made statements like, मंगल सूत्र छीन लेंगे जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे होते हैं।
मेरी माता और बहनों की जिंदगी में सोना वो सिर्फ शो करने के लिए नहीं होता है, उसके स्वाभिमान से जुड़ा हुआ है। उसका मंगल सूत्र वो एक सोने का कीमत का मुद्दा नहीं है, उसके जीवन के सपनों से जुड़ा हुआ है। तुम उसे छीनने की बात कर रहे हो अपने मैनिफेस्टो में। गोल्ड ले लेंगे, सबको वितरित कर देंगे। और पहले जब उनकी सरकार थी उन्होंने कहा था कि देश की संपत्ति पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है। इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे? जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे हैं उनको बांटेंगे।
Statements widely criticized as communal dog whistles. Did the Election Commission act? No. Then there is a question of inducements before elections. In Bihar, just ahead of elections, financial assistance of rupees 10,000 was distributed to women in Bihar. The Congress, the RJD, repeatedly called it open bribery. Did the Election Commission intervene? No. In Maharashtra, Money under Ladki Behan scheme was released right before elections. Again, the commission stayed quiet. Because the election commission never questioned then, they cannot or will not question now when Mamata Banerjee's government has suddenly decided to give financial assistance to the youth under the Yuva Sathi scheme, and the disbursement of the money, that is 1500 rupees per youth, has already begun. The process has begun. In Assam, the Assam government has already distributed 9,000 rupees to each 40 lakh women under some government scheme. So when the same institution now speaks of neutrality, fairness, and talks about law and order in Bengal, many people cannot help but notice the selective enforcement, the selective outrage. That is why the press conference felt like the pink candy floss. Big, colorful, carefully presented. But when you tried to find substance, the answers simply were not there. And when the questions are about voters, citizenship, democratic rights, and institutional trust, presentation is not enough. What people expect from the Election Commission of India is clarity, transparency, and accountability. Because in a democracy, the credibility of elections does not depend on only how they are being conducted. It depends equally on whether people trust the institution conducting the election or conducting those elections. And right now, the trust is clearly being questioned. Thus, I say the questions Gyanesh Kumar never answered are not hostile questions. They are basic questions that go to the heart of public confidence in the electoral process. And they clearly deserved answers. By the way, I did ask Mr. Gyanesh Kumar as how was his experience at Belur Mott. By the way, after he came down to Kolkata, he went to Kalighat for Ma Kali's darshan. Again, he went to Dakshineshwar again for Ma Kali's darshan. And then he went to Belur Mott, had darshan. And thus I simply asked a question, just to begin a conversation. How was it like at Belur Mott? He smiled and said it was fantastic. And he said with the blessings of Swami Vivekananda, he hopes the elections would be fantastic without any challenges. How was it at Belur Mott, sir? बहुत अच्छा लगा. दक्षिणेश्वर भी अच्छा.
स्पिरिचुअलिटी थी, इट वाज सो नाइस.
ओके.
और महाप्रभु से मिलके तो महाप्रभु जी से मिलकर और स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का कमरा देखकर बहुत ही आनंद की अनुभूति हुई. और उनकी ब्लेसिंग्स के साथ मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आगे आने वाला चुनाव वेस्ट बंगाल में बहुत ही शांतिपूर्ण और बिना किसी दबाव के होगा.
Swami Vivekananda spoke about tolerance. Dakshineshwar, seat of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsadev, whom we call our Thakur, he exemplifies tolerance. Joto mot toto pot. They both symbolize unity and diversity, the real examples of India. So if the Election Commission is truly inspired by Swami Vivekananda, his idea of Hinduism, and not, let me not say that. Hopefully, the Election Commission will take action, strict action, against those who would try to divide this country, divide a state, divide people, and divide an election on the lines of religion. Hopefully, the Election Commission will someday take questions, maybe someday. Till then, questions will be asked loudly at every given opportunity, like this. Sir, all the hitches would be sorted, sir. All the hitches would be sorted. Also like this, as I said, at every given opportunity, questions will be asked.
Sir, does the Election Commission acknowledge deaths due to SIR, sir? Sir, what's your view on the impeachment? Sir, does the Election Commission acknowledge? Does the Election Commission acknowledge deaths due to SIR? How many people have died in SIR, sir?
Not my voice. The voice of truth is too loud and you cannot silence it. Satyameva Jayate. Jai Hind.